Vanakkam, Namaskar to all the PGurus audience. It's always a great pleasure to talk with the PGurus audience because they are very knowledgeable and many of the comments given by them is very useful. Today we will have what we call the demographic tsunami, which is expected, or what is known as the age-quake. The recent what one can call economic survey as well as the population growth health survey reveals a significant number of facts which are of very much important. That is what it says is for the period 2031-41, unless offset by inward migration, population peaking at 2031. So the Tamil Nadu population is said to see a decline. Decline is projected at 0.05%. Population growth will be close to zero in Andhra, as low as 0.1 to 0.2 in Karnataka, Kerala and Telangana. The survey is stating. The percentage of senior citizens over the age of 60 will be 23% by 2041 compared to 10% now. And second only to Kerala, that will be around 24%. So this is what is very, very important thing. So among all the states, already states like Tamil Nadu are 1.7, 1.8 in terms of the reproductive rate, fertility rate as it is popularly called. It is 2.1 is expected to be the balancing one in terms of the couple producing 2 kids who in turn produce 2 kids. 2.1 is for the purposes of some sort of early death or wastage and other thing, and it is below already, and by 3040 it is going to see significant erosion and decline. This is something. Tamil Nadu is only state which is going to face a decline of the population in 3040. What is the implication of this is? One is massive migration has to take place in order to do the significant number of work and other thing, because by then robotics and other thing are not going to be replacing. What one can call it Japanese situation in Tamil Nadu. Japan conducts census on every time. It announces so many lakhs of people are lesser in population. It's not about growth rate anymore. It's about actual number becoming less and less. Same way, Tamil Nadu is going to face a problem in the 30s and 40s. And I don't think any policy planners or experts or media or anybody is concerned about it or even thinking about it. There are no discussion, no debates. Already there is a sort of what one can call rabble rousing about northerners, northeast as they are called. Anybody who is north of Gumdipundi in Tamil Nadu is a northerner. He could be from Telangana, he could be from Orissa, he could be from Gujarat. All of them are northerners, and some popular quote unquote experts even use the word pani puri walas without understanding what they are talking. There are several estimates. The original one is around 10.2 to 11 lakh available or working in Tamil Nadu from outside Tamil Nadu. This was in the period 11-12. After that, there were several discussion, and during last election, some people were telling it is 40 lakhs who are not who are migrants to Tamil Nadu, but who are conducting work. And recently, some political leaders like non-Tamilar Kachi head says 1.5 crores. I do not know where from he got that number. He is also asking about inner line permit to enter Tamil Nadu and other thing. The whole thing is a very interesting and funny thing to start with. Today, much of the what one can call skilled trade is by migrants in Tamil Nadu. Fitter, plumber, carpenter, painter. If you want a good plumber, very tough to find a Tamil plumber. You will find, from Orissa, or you will find from Bihar, or mostly Orissa. Actually, Kendrapara, one district in Orissa, supplies 60% of the plumbers for the country. And the same case in other metropolitan towns like Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc. And not only in Chennai, this is also all pervasive in towns like Coimbatore, Trichy, and other places. Many of the restaurants are people who serve who are from outside Tamil Nadu. They could be from Bihar, they could be from Tripura, they could be from Bangladesh. And many of the showrooms, the sales people are all from outside Tamil Nadu. And labor in belt, major textile belts like Tirupur, Coimbatore, and other areas are all from outside Tamil Nadu. They say they don't get Tamil labor. Even if they get, the cost is very high, and they don't work for full time, and they also are not very what you may call quote unquote obedient. Some of these owners of these factories have given interviews even on these issues, and so they rely on labor from outside, construction labor. Another interesting thing is, one of my friends was telling, in Delta area, even in agriculture, the labor from outside Tamil Nadu is used. It could be Bangladeshi or it could be West Bengal. No one doesn't know. And they are the ones who are getting slowly used for agricultural operations. This is something very, very interesting. So, if in 2030-40, there is a decline in population as the forecast are projected, then it's very, very important Tamil Nadu take adequate steps. First, it should constitute a group or a committee or a commission, whatever it calls, to study the issue thoroughly and see what are the various alternatives. Reproductive rate increasing is not going to be very easy. Easier said than done. You can't make people who are gone for two child norm into 4 child or something. This has been attempted in many of the Norwegian countries also, giving incentives. Third child education is free, tax incentives. None of them seem to be working. Let's be very clear, on an average, the marriage age is also increased. In Japan, for instance, most of the girls get married after 30, if at all they get married. Significant number of them are not getting married at all. They don't want to get married. So even at 30, if they get married, probability of having large number of children is very less. You may have one child or not more than that. So this is another, one, of course, many people will pounce on me. The ideal time to get married for a woman will be between 18 and 22. That's maximum reproductive time in terms of getting children. You can have large number of children and other. So that is gone from what you may loosely call a joint family. We went into nuclear family. From nuclear family, now it is a proton family. Single parent family all over the world. Single parent is normally the mother. Because the large companies want small families. Very simple. They deliberately reduced the size of the families. Big companies. Because if there are 10-member family using one fridge, if there are 5 2-member family, 5 refrigerators will be used. Very simple. Millions of apartments have come in US between and individual houses between 1980 and 2020. Because everybody after marriage moves into a new home. So more steel, more concrete, more type of cement, all these things are used. So the large, big business wants small families. This is the elementary fact. Throughout the 80s, the advertisement in US, if you go and see television and other channel, it would always be a happy family. Happy family means husband, wife, and 2 kids, maybe a dog, not anything more than that. Happy family will not have a mother-in-law or a sister-in-law or a brother-in-law or anything like that. So the size of the family has got significantly reduced, and in the process, the number of children is also much, much lesser. And the same type of situation is emerging in a state like Tamil Nadu. One has to be very, very cautious, and one has to be very, very perceptively observe about it and take steps. So, state should constitute a commission to study this issue. What are the alternatives? How to get migrants? Because already Tamil labor is also going outside. Of course, they have one handicap in terms of going outside Tamil Nadu into India. That is because of lack of knowledge of Hindi. Quite a number of doctors I know, I asked them, why don't you practice in other states? No, sir, we are not so good in Hindi. That is the issue. That is something which has to be looked into in terms of alternatives of Tamil youth. Second is, what is the mechanism by which this can be changed? Third is, cultural wise, are the projections are same for different communities? For instance, in Malappuram in Kerala, even though it is one of the highly educated state, and that district is also highly educated, that district was created by Namboodiripad exclusively, in a sense, for Muslims. But if you see, in terms of the birth rate, Malappuram is much, much higher compared to average of Kerala itself. Kerala itself is relatively lower, but Malappuram is higher. So culture also plays a role in terms of demography. That is, we should be very clear about it. So is it the same for different type of communities in Tamil Nadu? And what are the issues and implication of this? That is the next issue. Third is, what type of incentives can be given? Because otherwise, what could enter into a situation is, Tamil will survive because everybody is shouting Tamil is in danger, Tamil is in grave threat, and even Rahul Gandhi the other day told Tamil cannot be suppressed. I do not know who is trying to suppress it. But according to me, what could happen is, Tamil will survive, but Tamilians may not survive. The language will be spoken by other people, migrants in Tamil Nadu. And reading and writing anyhow has gone. According to me, most of the languages will only be spoken in the next 30-40 years. Nobody is going to read and write all this. Audio will be the main mode of communication. Anyhow, so are there better incentive structures to be evolved in order to make people have more children, adoption, and otherwise absorbing the migrant people, and what type of steps should be taken to integrate them into the society so that the friction is relatively lessened. Planning is extremely important in this context, taking into account the demography. And if so many elderly people are going to be there, the dependency ratio will be skewed. That means the number of people above 60 versus the number of people between 16 to 60. The number of people between 16 to 60 are expected to support those who are above 60. That's the dependency ratio. So if it is 1/5, for instance, every 1/5 person is above 60, it's a very, very important point for the planners to look at what type of facilities. And already we find a lot of these Nana Nani and other things are mushrooming in all over Tamil Nadu. So are we planning properly for the future? Are we seeing a situation where Tamil survives, Tamilians don't? These are some very, very important questions to answer, and which require a thorough study and research. Are we prepared? Thank you very much.